Well, new here at 6:30, two parishes that were scheduled to close as part of the All Things New plan have now won their appeals. The Vatican decided St. Angela Merici in Florissant and St. Martin of Tours in Lime can stay open. That means rather than combining with St. Norbert and Holy Name of Jesus, St. Angela will remain separate, and all three will be under the guidance of the same pastor. Likewise, St. Martin of Tours won't be subsumed with St. Mark. Meanwhile, the Vatican has sided with the Archdiocese of St. Louis in its decision to close St. Roch Parish just north of Forest Park. Last August, St. Roch was subsumed by Christ the King Parish, which is about 10 minutes away. The Archdiocese said financial debt and a declining number of parishioners were two reasons for that closure. The Vatican upheld that decision.